Level 1, the page. You are 7 years old. Your father puts you on a horse before dawn. He says nothing. You ride 2 days to your lord's castle. The gate stands 12 feet tall, oak-banded in iron. It shuts behind you. A steward takes your name. He gives you a straw mattress in the servant's loft. You carry water. You carry firewood for the hall's hearth. You carry the Lord's boots to the cobbler for resoling. You carry sealed letters between the gatehouse and the stable master. You cannot read the words on them. You train with a wooden sword against boys twice your size. Your knuckles split on their shields. You learn to mount a horse without using your hands. A wooden practice lance stays braced under one arm. You fall 11 times. You stay seated on the 12th. At a feast, you carry a wine jug to the high table. Your hands shake. The jug slips. Wine soaks the Lord's sleeve in front of 40 guests. The steward drags you out by the collar. You kneel on the chapel floor until sunrise. Your knees are raw by dawn. A raiding party returns from the border that autumn. One knight is carried through the gate on his own shield. A boar spear is still lodged under his ribs. You fetch water for the physician. He kneels over the wounded knight. He cuts the tunic away. The knight's chest does not move again. This is the first death you have seen. The Lord watches you hold the water bowl, steady through all of it. 3 days later, he hands you a real sword. It is undersized. Its edge is dulled. It is steel, not wood. You turn 14. The Lord gives you to a knight now, not a household. Which knight has not yet been decided. Level 2, the squire. You are 14 years old. A knight chooses you from the page's hall. You are assigned to his household within the week. You learn to buckle his hauberk over his shoulders. You learn to grease the mail rings against rust. You learn to fit a saddle to his destrier without pinching the horse's flank. You train on the quinton. A wooden arm holds a shield on one end, a sandbag on the other. You miss the shield twice. The sandbag swings around. It knocks you off the horse both times. On the third pass, your lance splinters clean against the target. You memorize the rules of the joust. For courses per match, a broken lance scores higher than an unbroken one. Striking a man with no lance left is a disqualifying offense. You memorize your knight's coat of arms. A black hawk on a red field. This is how you find him inside a melee of 100 riders. You follow your knight into your first siege that summer. You do not fight. You carry a spare lance and a waterskin. You watch a trebuchet crew load a boulder into the sling. They hurl it at the gatehouse 200 yards out. You watch sappers dig a tunnel toward the wall's foundation, timber braced overhead against collapse. Your knight enters a tournament to raise money for new armor. He loses the first 2 courses. He is unhorsed on the third. His shoulder dislocates on landing. You reset the joint yourself. Your knee braces against his ribs. He bites down on a leather strap. He recovers. 2 weeks later, he wins the melee, capturing a rival knight's horse and armor as the prize. You turn 21. Your knight promises to recommend you for the accolade. The condition: you survive 1 more campaign at his side. Level 3, the Knight Bachelor. You are 21 years old. The night before, you bathe in cold water drawn from the castle well. You wear a white tunic, a symbol of purity. You wear a scarlet robe over it, marking the blood you will spill for your lord. You wear brown hose, marking the earth you will return to. You wear a white belt, cinched tight at your waist. You spend the night alone in the chapel. Your sword lies flat on the altar in front of you. You kneel on stone from midnight until dawn. Your knees lock. Your eyes burn from staying open. You are not permitted to sleep. At sunrise, a priest says Mass. You swear an oath. Defend the weak. Speak the truth. Never refuse combat against 3 or fewer enemies. Protect women of noble blood. Your lord steps forward. He draws his sword. He strikes you once on the shoulder, flat blade only. This is the one blow in your life you are forbidden to return. He hands you gilt spurs. You fasten them to your own heels. He girds a sword belt around your waist himself. You receive a horse, a shield, a pennon. The coat of arms on it has never existed before this morning. It is yours alone. You think of a squire who trained beside you for 6 years. His father could not afford a war horse or a full harness of plate. He was sent home last spring to manage his family's fields instead. He'll never carry the title you now carry. A feast follows. Musicians play through the night. The next morning, a tournament is held in your honor. You enter your first joust as a knight. You lose your first course. You are unhorsed in the dirt in front of the entire hall. You are Sir now. You have a title. You have no land. You have no income beyond what your sword can earn. You will need to find a lord to serve. Level 4, the Household Knight. You are 24 years old. A great lord recruits you into his messney, his retained fighting household. You sign for war wages, 2 shillings a day. You receive rations, forage for your horse, a berth in the baggage train. The company marches 11 days to a border fortress under dispute. You make camp within bowshot of the walls. A ram crew tries the north gate first. 20 men swing an iron-shod oak beam under a wheeled shed. The gate holds. Iron bands reinforce it top to bottom. Defenders pour heated sand through murder holes onto the shed's roof. 2 men in the crew take burns through the seams. Sappers begin a mine that night, angled toward the gatehouse foundation. You take your turn in the shaft. You dig. You shore the tunnel with oak props. You pack the chamber with pitch-soaked brush. You set the fire. You run before the props burn through. Defenders drive a countermine to intercept you. You hear their picks through the earth, 20 feet off. Your sergeant pulls the crew back before the tunnels meet. A trebuchet crew hurls limestone blocks at the gatehouse, 1 every 4 minutes. A section of wall collapses on the 9th day. You go through the breach with a first wave. You corner an enemy knight in the stable yard. His surcoat bears a silver stag. You recognize the device from the Parley Herald's read that morning. You take his sword hilt first. A captured knight means a ransom, not a grave. 6 archers surrender behind the granary. Your captain checks their hands for bowstring calluses. He orders them killed in the yard. They carry no coat of arms. No family will pay to see them again. You watch. You do not stop it. The knight's ransom is set at 4,000 gold crowns, split by rank across the company. Your share alone doubles 2 years of wages. Between campaigns, you enter a regional tournament to keep your name known. You win the melee, unhorsing 2 riders in a single pass. The purse buys a new hauberk, riveted rings instead of the old butted ones. Your captain reports your name to the Lords Marshal after the 3rd campaign season. The king's own army musters in the spring. A place in the vanguard is yours if you want it. Level 5, the Knight Banneret. You are 29 years old. The king's own army musters that spring. You ride in the vanguard, under your captain's pennon, toward a rival army camped across open ground. The enemy lines form behind a row of sharpened stakes, driven into the earth at an angle. Longbowmen wait behind them, 3 ranks deep. Your first charge breaks against the line. Horses impale themselves on the points. 3 riders near you go down, trampled by the horses behind them. You regroup. You find a gap where the stake line breaks near a hedge. You drive your horse through it. You cut down the standard bearer of the opposing company. Their line buckles without a banner to rally behind. After the battle, the king's marshal rides through the field, naming men for valor. He stops at you. He asks your name twice, to be certain of it. You kneel in the mud, under the royal standard itself. Only the sovereign, present in person, can grant this rank. A herald cuts the tail from your pennon, squaring it into a banner. You are banneret now, not bachelor. Your wages double, for shillings a day instead of 2. You gain the right to raise your own company. Knights, esquires, archers, all under your own banner now, not another man's. You count the men who answer your call. You pay their wages from your own coffer. You requisition grain for 40 horses. You bury the 12 who don't survive the first week's march. 3 weeks later, the army needs to retreat across a ford under enemy pressure. Your captain orders you to hold the crossing with 20 men while the main force withdraws. You know the math before you speak it aloud. 20 men cannot hold a ford against 600. You hold anyway. 14 of your 20 die at the ford. The retreat succeeds behind you. You collect the pay owed to the dead men. You send it to their families yourself, coin by coin, with your own seal on the letter. Your income now sits high enough to draw the crown's attention. Your name carries the same weight. A royal steward visits your tent that winter. He asks if you would accept a manor, land of your own, in exchange for continued service. Level 6, the landed knight. You're 33 years old. The crown grants you a manor in exchange for continued knight service. One plowed valley, 40 tenant households. You ride out to see it for the first time. The hall roof needs new thatch. The palisade around the yard has rotted through in 3 places. Your marriage is arranged within the month to the daughter of a neighboring landholder. The match doubles your acreage. You meet her twice before the wedding. You order the palisade rebuilt in oak, sharpened stakes set at an angle against a mounted charge. You raise a wooden tower over the gate, a lookout post 2 stories high. A boy arrives that autumn to serve as your page. He is 7 years old. You assign him to the stable, same as you were assigned once. You collect the autumn rents, grain coin. You inspect the threshing yields, sack by sack. You settle a boundary dispute between 2 plowmen over a strip of fallow land. You seize a widow's only cow when she cannot pay her dues. One tenant hides part of his harvest to avoid the tithe. Your steward finds the buried sacks under his barn floor. You have the man flog in the yard, 10 lashes, in front of the other tenants. The harvest that year is thin. You cannot afford mercy, as an example. A wet summer rots a third of your wheat the following year. Your granary runs short by midwinter. You ration grain to your own household before your tenants see any shortage. Word reaches you that spring. Unrest 2 counties over. A dispute over inheritance threatens to split the region into open war. Your liege lord sends a summons, asking which banner you will answer. You have not chosen a side yet. Your answer will decide what happens next. A barony within reach, or the manor gone completely. Level 7, the Baron. You're 40 years old. You answer the crown summons. Your neighbor across the river answers the rebel claimants instead. 6 months earlier, the 2 of you split the cost of a new mill. Now his men burn your east pasture before your muster is even complete. You raise 30 men from your own manor and 2 neighboring ones bound to you by oath. You march for 11 days behind the crown's banner. Your first attempt to cross the river is thrown back. 6 of your men drown in the current. The rebel line breaks on the second attempt in early autumn. Your cavalry pins them against the second column coming from the south. The crown rewards loyalty with land. You receive a barony, from manors instead of one, a stone keep instead of a wooden hall, a market town with its own weekly toll. You hold your own court now. You settle disputes over rents, boundaries, and unpaid dues. You approve or deny marriages for the orphaned heirs of your tenants. You collect a fee either way. You carve 3 of your new manors into knights' fees. You grant them to men who owe you 40 days of armed service a year. They kneel to you exactly as you once knelt to your own knight. You owe the crown a quota in return. 6 armed knights, 40 days a year, at your own expense whenever summoned. You collect the region's geld twice a year. You keep a fixed share. You send the rest north to the treasury. The rebel baron from across the river is captured alive that winter, dragged from a hunting lodge 2 valleys over. You served beside him once, shoulder to shoulder, in a siege a decade back. The crown's justice calls for hanging. The crown's justice does not ask for volunteers among the loyal. You are the ranking noble present. The rope is your responsibility to order. He does not look away from you at the end. You do not look away either. Your loyalty in the rebellion reaches the king's own ministers. A vacant earldom 2 counties over needs a steady hand. Your name is the one they bring to court. Level 8, the Earl. You are 47 years old. The crown grants you the earldom. 9 baronies bound under a single seal. Each one answers to you before it answers the crown. The barons beneath you send their geld to your treasury first. You keep your portion, then forward the rest north. You take a permanent seat on the king's council. You travel to court 4 times a year, sometimes more if the crown is at war. You can raise close to 400 armed men from your combined baronies within a month of the summons. More if a general levy is called. You maintain 3 castles now, 1 in each corner of your territory. You appoint constables to run 2 of them in your absence. Men you trust with the keys. Not with the title. Your eldest daughter turns 16 that spring. A neighboring earl proposes an alliance through marriage, sealed by her hand and a parcel of disputed borderland. The match secures both territories against a common rival for a generation. Your daughter has met the man exactly once, at a hunting feast the previous autumn. He is 31 years older than she is. You signed a marriage contract anyway. You tell yourself the borderland matters more than her preference. In the arithmetic of the earldom, it does. She does not speak to you again before the wedding. A baron under your authority is accused of secretly trading grain to a rival crown during an active blockade. You investigate it yourself, rather than defer to the king's justices. The evidence is solid. 3 intercepted letters, his own seal pressed into the wax. You strip him of his barony. You exile him, rather than hand him to the crown's executioner. It costs you a portion of his goodwill, every ounce of his family's. Your name now sits near the top of the peerage, one rank beneath the crown itself. A single title remains above you, Duke. Level 9, the Duke. You're 58 years old. The crown grants you a duchy, 3 earldoms, 11 baronies, 90 manors, a third of the kingdom's western border. You are addressed as Your Grace now, even by men who once outranked you. The king is 9 years old when his father dies of a winter fever. The council names you regent, ruling in the boy's name until he comes of age. You sign treaties under his seal. You command the kingdom's entire standing muster, close to 6,000 men. You answer to no one above you. No one remains above you except a child. Your left hand is missing 2 fingers, lost to a mace. You can no longer place the year or the battle. Your right knee no longer bends past a certain point. That's from a fall off a destrier in a melee years back. A long scar runs from your collarbone to the base of your ribs. That's from a siege, the one where you first watched an archer executed for having no ransom value. You stand alone at your hall window one morning. Below, in the courtyard, a boy is brought through the gate. He is 7 years old. He carries nothing in his hands. His eyes track the height of the walls the way yours once did. 51 years ago, you were that boy. You stood in a courtyard exactly this size. You do not go down to greet him. You watch a steward take his name. The steward leads him toward the servant's loft, the same walk you once made yourself. The cycle continues.